the thing that's missing is that you're not capturing it, right? So you're either not recording it, or if you are recording it, you're not putting it someplace or making it clearly usable for the future, right? And so this is really the key idea. So first off, I want people to think through, where are all the places where you are showing up and already having the conversations, right? Are you doing like weekly sales meetings with your agents? Are you doing live classes where you're teaching your agents skills and skill sets that are helpful to them? Because if you're looking to recruit, the information that you are already helping your team with is going to be some of the best content to attract agents that would like what you are offering, right? So if you are already teaching and training and equipping your agents, make sure you're recording that so that you can leverage it. Welcome back to the Real Estate Growth Hackers Show. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about why content creation is dead and why capture is what's replacing it. And all of this is due to the changes that are coming in from AI and how that's impacting the natural flow of being able to run this content marketing process. So with me today, I have Charlie Madison, friend, red shirt wearing today. What is that, Alabama?
Roll Tide.
And there we go. No Hawaiian shirt today, but representing your team, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, good call. So we're going to be diving into something that I think both you and I are seeing. I think we're still a little bit on the early stages of this. I don't think this process is fully fleshed out and fully dialed in, but you and I both kind of see the writing on the wall, and we're working, me especially, I'm working to build the systems that make this more of a possibility. But yeah, so let me give people a bit of context around this. So obviously, like, content marketing is still a fantastic strategy, right? And when I say content creation is dead, I don't actually mean that in the sense of like, we don't need to create content anymore. But like, historically, the way that content creation happened was very often this idea of, like, you sit down, you've got something really clearly thought through, you're maybe going through an outline, you're going through information that you want to cover. You're in the mode of, I'm going to create this content now, right? Like, I'm going to write my social media posts, and I'm going to create my YouTube videos, and I'm going to write these emails, right? And all of those assets, I think, are still useful and still necessary. The difference is that before, where like you had to sit down and sort of do that thing, it's now becoming that a lot of that content, if not all of it, can actually be sourced and pulled from what you're doing anyway, right? From the sales meetings that you're having, from the coaching calls that you're having, from the places where you're showing up and just naturally talking through the ideas and information that you would ultimately create content on, that those in the moment conversations, if captured, can actually become the source of the content that you need to do for your marketing. And so you and I both have some experience with this. For me, I've got 3 years worth of a book club that we have all the recordings for that we're splicing up. And at this point, using an AI process with a little bit of, it's a fair bit, but like overall, comparatively, not a ton of human manpower. I'm up to, at this point, over 100,000 views on videos that are from what I would call dead footage, right? Like stuff, no one's going to watch those book club recordings, but the clips, I'm up to over 100,000 views on those at this point, just by leveraging this AI process to take them, split them up, and turn them into content other places. I don't know if you have those specific numbers, but you've seen similar sorts of things in terms of being able to take what you're producing otherwise and turn it into usable assets, right?
Yeah, I like to think about it. Gary Vee is famous for putting out 60 pieces of content a day. And then when you look at it, what he's got is he's got a whole media team that follows him around and cuts up all the content into pieces. All that he does, he built the team, and but then he goes around, they record him, and they convert it into content for him. Now AI is your media team.
Exactly. So like that the same strategy as what we saw with Gary Vee being popularized, because like he did sit down and like create content. Like he did some shows, I forget, the Ask Gary Vee show. I forget what else he did, but like a lot of his content is that. It's him showing up and just being him. either through speaking engagements or through the shows, or sometimes even like live coaching sessions with people. And he takes those and then, yes, his team chops them up, leverages them, turns them into all the other content. And so that strategy has really always been a pretty good strategy, right? If you have valuable things to say to your target market, to the agents that you're looking to recruit, or even, ultimately as real estate agents, to the public, like you're having these conversations where you're saying these things that people would find valuable, that people would find useful. And the biggest problem is, up till this point, it's taken a fair bit of investment to be able to take the raw recordings of those sorts of things and turn them into something useful. But now it's becoming that it doesn't take a ton of money. A lot of the systems can be fairly automated, and it's only getting better, right? So that's why, to me, right now, there's still some, like, we're at the crossroads, right? Where, like, we're bridging into a new reality where it once was hard and expensive, and it's becoming easy. And on some things, it's really easy. For other things, we're still having to build the systems around it. But the key thing to me is we have to be moving into this mode of capturing this stuff and knowing that we need to capture it. So I found that there's a few key principles to really set yourself up for success around this. Do you think it would be valuable to share, like, what those concepts are that I'm finding, like, right now to be best prepared? Do you think that would be useful?
Yeah, I'm curious because it's funny when on your real estate AI mastermind this last week, you actually shared the picture of your flow chart and your spreadsheet on how you took this one piece of content and and I was sick, but I was still paying attention. I was like, I wish I could unmute and ask for more details, but I was also like, how do you do that? So yes, I want to hear your principles on how do you create the kind of the original piece, what are the principles there?
So the biggest thing, and like this is the paradigm shift that I really want people to understand so that they are enabled to have massive success in like this AI world, right? And so first off, it's understanding this idea of you are likely already creating the content that you need. Now, this may not be true for everybody, but for most of the people that I'm seeing, you're probably already having these conversations. The thing that's missing is that you're not capturing it. Right? So you're either not recording it, or if you are recording it, you're not putting it someplace or making it clearly usable for the future. Right? And so this is really the key idea. So first off, I want people to think through, where are all the places where you are showing up and already having the conversations, right? Are you doing like weekly sales meetings with your agents? Are you doing live classes where you're teaching your agents skills and skill sets that are helpful to them? Because if you're looking to recruit, the information that you are already helping your team with is going to be some of the best content to attract agents that would like what you are offering, right? So if you are already teaching and training and equipping your agents, make sure you're recording that so that you can leverage it. Now, people are often held up by the idea of like, okay, but like I wouldn't share these recordings because there's private information that happens or it's not public facing. And that's okay. Capture it anyway. Still, you got to get permission or whatever. Like, make sure everything's legal. But because what we're looking to do isn't necessarily to record and then immediately publish that. We're looking to have the recordings so that we can run it through a process to actually extract the pieces that we can use to create value, right? So I'll explain that in a second. That's part of what I was showing in that flow chart. So in terms of thinking through all these opportunities, right? Like the average, say, real estate team owner, are you doing sales meetings? Are you doing trainings, or are people on your team doing trainings for your agents? Are you having coaching calls, private coaching calls with agents? Are you having recruiting calls where you're talking to agents already? Right? Are you having those calls where you're talking to people, explaining what you're up to, why it's valuable? All of that stuff, anything where you are showing up and you are sharing your ideas, your vision, your perspective, record them and then document them somewhere. So for me, I literally use a Google spreadsheet for this, and I call it my content library. And everything that I'm creating is in there. And I've gone back and everything that we have created is in there. Every webinar that I've done, every YouTube video that I've done, every podcast that I've recorded, every private call, every mastermind call, I used to do the Real Estate Growth Hackers Inner Circle. All of those are recorded. And then in there, part of what I'm documenting as well is I'm documenting the basic idea. What did we talk about, right? So actually, I use AI at this point to help summarize what those things were about, right? So we'll take the transcript and get a summary of what it is. And that's kind of the next portion of this, right? So if you want to be able to leverage these things, so first off, you have to have your database of all this stuff. So first and foremost, make sure you're capturing it, make sure you're recording it, and then make sure you're logging it. Log it somewhere. And it doesn't need to be complicated, but like, where's the recording? If you can mention what the basic topic was, that sort of thing, that's really useful. Then the next thing that you need is a transcript. Okay, so you need, from the audio, you need some sort of written version, because as of right now, the AIs really are all trained around the written word. So we need to take it from video or audio and turn it into written word. Does it need to be anything super special? No, right? Like if you're using Zoom, I think Zoom has the transcripts built in.
Yeah.
Google Meet, you could do the transcripts built in. If you're doing these calls or things in another way, then you might need to record some other way and then put it through some software to generate the transcription. But the transcription is the next thing that you need. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take that transcription and you're going to basically extract the key points. I have some key things that I'm looking for. I'm always looking for specificity around, like, what are the key ideas? What are the stories, the metaphors, any quotes that are specifically relevant? And I try and extract that into one key thing. And then from there, you're then able to leverage that to create, through various prompting structures, where you could take the key idea plus the transcript and a prompt, and you could turn that into blog post for each key idea. Or maybe if it's more of an overarching idea, maybe it's one blog post that kind of covers everything that was covered. Emails to use in your follow-up sequences, in your outreach, in your nurture campaigns, right? Social media posts, right? Where you get to take the content from there and turn it into written posts that cover the same ideas. And again, that's part of how you're dealing with, if there's private information covered, right? Like, you use the call recording as inspiration for what you will do public facing, and not necessarily actually be the public facing thing as a whole. Now, some stuff you could chop up and use public facing right off the bat, but other stuff, it might need to go through a process first. And right now, it could be a little bit finicky to run this process, right? Because there's a number of steps. I mean, you saw my flow chart for this. It's still a whole lot easier than it would be to have a human go through and do all of this for you. Like, it's drastically cheaper, drastically easier than having a human do everything. Actually sitting down, listening to the transcript, writing out the key ideas, turning those key ideas into posts. That's become drastically easier. So you don't need a whole team for that. But there's still a little bit of a process. So you might need to have somebody leveraging the right prompts in order to generate these things out. Or it might take building a little bit more of an advanced, like, Innate Make or Zapier automation to flow through these processes for you. But the key idea is, like, some of that stuff is only getting easier, and it's only getting better. These AI models are being able to understand more at one time and process more at one time and leverage more. But the key thing is, that's why I'm saying content creation is dead and capture is becoming king, because even if right now you don't do all this other stuff that I'm talking about, if you're not capturing it, then you're losing the opportunity in the future, right? So right now, start capturing. Start making sure that you're getting the recordings, that you're getting them logged, that you're at a minimum, or at least storing those things somewhere so that you can leverage them in the future, even if you don't have the time or systems right now. Because then you're looking at a future of potentially having everything that you need if you've just captured it. So does that make sense in terms of, like, what's changing?
Share the story of how you discovered this with your book club as a really great example.
Yeah, so I've been doing this book club for about 3 years, and I record every time that we do the book club. We meet together, we discuss books. The book club, by the way, is completely free if people want to come and join us. What we focus on is we talk about books that are geared around business or personal development, that are all geared toward being able to grow a real estate business effectively, right? Not all the books are about real estate, but they're all tangentially related to running a successful real estate business. And so we meet together about every 2 weeks, and we spend, for us, about an hour talking about these books. And so there's lots of great conversations that come out of that, right? Lots of great points being made. But here's the reality. I run this book club, and I know that I would never watch one of these hour-long recordings of this book club, right? Like, it's not the kind of thing that you're going to sit and watch the recording of, right? Like, maybe very rarely somebody would watch a recording, but it's not common. And I know that. I'm recording them mainly so that's available. But then I got the idea, so Opus Clip is a tool that allows you to take long-form video and cut it down into clips. I was like, well, hey, I got all this footage. Like, maybe I could turn this thing that was previously invaluable into something that people actually would find value in, right? And find the clips where I'm saying something valuable, where I'm saying something useful, that the clip would be something that somebody can consume. And lo and behold, I mean, yeah, we're finding that pretty readily, anywhere from 20 or more clips we're able to generate per hour-long recording. And that's where the views that I'm getting right now are coming from. So that over 100,000 views, that's coming from those book club recordings. And so I turned to this thing that previously was essentially just a library of dead footage that no one was watching into something that is now responsible for over 100,000 views on me, my content, and what I'm up to. And so, like, that's where that power on that, like, why I'm so fervent at this point about how, like, creating that concept for the book club under the thinking of, like, this is going to become social content. But I have been capturing it the entire time. And so I have been doing what I'm talking about here. And as a result, I'm getting to reap the benefit. And that's essentially what I'm advising that people should maybe do as well.
And what's cool about this, Zoom is so popular. I mean, we're on a Zoom type software. You got Google Meet. Everyone is used to being recorded, and
right.
Zoom has their AI capabilities, so people kind of understand the summary part. I use Fathom to create the transcription. A lot of people use Firefly. So it's not unusual anymore. I mean, I probably have sometimes 15 calls in a week, usually at least 10.
Right.
And every one is automatically recorded with my Fathom because I can highlight it and I get the transcription. And I think over the last maybe 90 days, I've had one person say, "Why is this recorded?" Like, I mean, just it's not even a thing anymore. Like, it's completely. So we've got the ability now to easily record in a really nice format, whatever we're doing.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's one of those things, the horrors of what we went through with COVID and everybody locking down and starting to do work remotely. It's unlocked a pretty powerful thing for all of us in terms of making it normal to be on Zoom and to do meetings this way and have all these things be digital, because it really is, like you said, that plus people understanding, like, oh, I've got this recorder. It's going to give us a summary so that we have clear notes from our calls, so that if there's any action steps or whatnot, like, it's real easy to explain the value of it, where people are like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that sounds good. But as a result, you're getting this transcripts, you're getting these recordings that allow you to then take that and turn that into the other content that you need. And yeah, it's becoming really powerful. So it's been one of my favorite things to be able to see this. But again, like I mentioned, there is a ton of potential there. But the action, while easier than it has been, is still somewhat complicated to actually enact, right? Like, you're a smart dude, you understand AI pretty well, and yet we're still working to, like, actually implement these sort of concepts from the calls that you mentioned, from some of the calls that I'm doing, right? Like, it's not like it's just a plug and play, easy to do sort of thing. And that is why I've put together the mastermind that I put together, right? Where we are figuring this stuff out together, because the potential is there, but we're essentially carving our way through the jungle, figuring out the paths, where it's like, we know that the potential is there. We know that there's a lot of power here, but we're figuring it out live together. And we're building these systems. And so we're building out the prompts, the prompt library, how to put it all together through things like Zapier and Make and N8N, and where you can drop a transcript at one end and end up coming out with the social posts and emails and blog posts that you need, right? So we're building all of that together. So if that's something that you want, if you want to be on the forefront of what's going on with this, to be able to take what you're already doing and turning it into everything that you need to be doing in terms of marketing and content marketing, that's just an aspect of what we're working on in our AI mastermind. If you want to hear more about what we're up to, I'd be delighted. You can reach out to us at realestategrowthhackers.com/contact and let us know that you're interested in that mastermind. Also, stay tuned. We're potentially looking at putting together some things along the lines that might help people who maybe aren't ready for that. So stay aware of that too. But if you really want to be on the cutting edge, that mastermind is where all secrets are revealed, where you get the opportunity and time to ask the questions. We build things live together. Charlie's a part of the mastermind, and I think he could tell you, we really, in terms of bringing the heat on what you could do with AI, we've got a ton of stuff in there that's really powerful for you. So definitely, if you're interested in that, reach out to us, realestategrowthhackers.com. But otherwise, any final words or final thoughts on this subject or the mastermind?
I think there's two parts to it. One, it's the capture, and two, it's the creation. And at the least, we're at a place where the capture is really easy. It's really just hitting a button saying record, even if you don't log it in Excel. and you've got it
Right.
on your Dropbox or you just got it in Zoom, wherever.
Right.
At least do that. And then
Right.
the creation is going to keep getting better and better. And the other cool thing is you now become the source for your AI. Like you're going to have, I mean, you've got hundreds of hours that as AI gets better, you can say, write this in my voice, pull out all of the
Right.
things that are my unique perspectives. And so it's an amazing time to be alive. And so record it, and then we'll see what we can do next with it.
Absolutely. And your point there is it is the most powerful aspect. The key thing that people are missing with AI is that they think that the answer is that it's going to do everything for you. And here's the truth. If you have it do everything for you, what it does is hot garbage, because it doesn't have a unique point of view. It doesn't have perspective. It doesn't have that spark of humanity that actually makes you unique and your point of view unique. What it has is it has the sum total of what everybody has said about a subject. And really, you don't stand out by just saying the same thing as everybody else. And so to fully leverage AI properly, you have to come to it armed with your unique perspective. And one of the best ways to be able to leverage the power of what it could do with putting structure to your creativity is just make sure you're capturing it, right? So start there, capture. And, we didn't start with this, but to me, the 3 C's of it are capture, collect, and then create, right? So start with capture at least.
Right.
After you've captured, you could collect and make sure that it gets put together somewhere, but you can't collect if you haven't at least done the capture. So do that.
And both me and you, for the collection part, it happened years after we started recording. And,
exactly.
And we didn't even do it ourselves. We had assistants do it, team members do the collecting part.
Exactly. And so what's cool is like, if you're capturing it and just make sure that it's saved somewhere, somebody could go through and clean it up and do what's necessary. So at least make sure you're doing that, and that at least prepares you. But if you really want to be leveraging it, that's going to be the process. So there you go. That's the key idea here around why content creation is dead and why capture is so much more important at this point. So there you go. All right. Well, until next time, we'll see you on the next Real Estate Growth Hackers.
Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Growth Hacker Show. Remember, done is better than perfect. To turn the marketing ideas and tactics you just learned into real growth for your real estate business, visit us at realestategrowthhackers.com. If you like this episode, consider sharing it with another real estate professional who could benefit from the information. Or maybe you'd like to subscribe to the show to never miss an episode. You can leave a rating or review on iTunes with your biggest takeaway, helping this show to reach and help more people just like you. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next episode.